Okay, Scorpio, third time lucky. I hope it doesn't kick me off again. It seems to not be kicking me off. Okay, great. Hi, Scorpio. This is your horoscope for 2020. I know that Mercury is going retrograde in February, but this is ridiculous that it's already starting like this for me now. Okay, so I've tried this video 3 times. It hasn't happened on any of the other videos. I don't believe in coincidences. So I really think that the Mercury retrograde, which happens from the 16th of Feb until the 9th of March, is something that you as Scorpios need to pay attention to. So the first thing that happens in the month, on the 4th of February, Mercury goes into Pisces, and it goes into Pisces in your 5th house of love, romance, and relationships and children. Because it retrogrades later on in the month, it stays in Pisces much longer than Mercury would usually stay in the sign. Because when Mercury is direct, it stays in each sign of the zodiac for about 2-3 weeks. When it's retrograding, then it appears to be going backwards and it stays in Pisces for much longer. Pisces is a water sign. It's very spiritual, it's very giving, it's very loving and nurturing. And the fact that your Mercury is now in Pisces with Neptune and Venus being the planet of love and beauty, and Neptune being the higher octave, being love and beauty in a global sense, humanitarian wise. The first 2 weeks of this month are all about love life, romance, sparks flying. You're going to have an amazing time in terms of your love life. So for all the single Scorpios out there, hooray! You're really likely to find someone who is just divine. If you're in a relationship that has got a bit lukewarm lately, you'll be able to heat it up in the first 2 weeks massively, huge improvement. And if you don't want to be in a relationship, you can create wonderful creative outputs, like you can write piano pieces or paint or do sculpture or connect and meditate and connect with your higher power. If that's a relationship you want to improve, the main message is that Scorpio is blessed out of all of the signs of the zodiac in the first 2 weeks of February because it's given so much loving energy when it comes to romantic partners. On the 8th of February, Venus, the planet of love and beauty, that goes into your 6th house of work, daily routine, and your body and your physical health in Aries. And it sits next to Chiron, the wounded healer, which is also a centaur, like Sagittarius. That's at 2 degrees, 1 and 2 is a relationship in Aries. So Venus in Aries is much more aggressive about what it wants. And the first 2 weeks here, you're able to find new relationships, like I said, but with this move of Venus and sitting on top of Chiron, you're also able to pick up and rectify relationships from the past. So if your first love was at 17, but he went to war and you lost touch with him, the records say he was dead, but really he wasn't dead, and you happen to meet him 30 years later, then that love is still there and you have a choice whether you want to recommence your relationship. That's the kind of thing that you'll be getting in the first 2 weeks, which is amazing. On the 9th, that sees the zenith, the pinnacle of all of this good, loving energy, because you have a full moon in Leo at 22 degrees. So a full moon, I'll make separate videos on the full moon and new moon to give you more info. But for you guys, Scorpio, it happens in your 10th house of career. So you're really going to shine in your working life as well as in your personal life because you have such great relationships with people. And that gives you a great energy and people want to be around you. And obviously that has a great knock-on effect in your work. So anyone also who is looking for work or who wants to change their job, Scorpios, the first 2 weeks are amazing for you to make major changes to the things that you love in your life and to adjust those. Then on the 16th, Mercury does go retrograde, and usually Mercury retrograde is simply associated with communication difficulties. Emails not getting there, letters being lost, cars, GPSs taking you to a field instead of the museum, miscommunication between people. But in your case, it's in the 5th house of romance, in Pisces, on top of Neptune, the planet of love and global love and love for humanity. So what goes up must come down. That's one of the laws of the universe. And because you are so blessed in relationships in the first 2 weeks of the month, especially sexual romantic relationships, that the second half of the month isn't so good for you when it comes to romantic relationships. And if you meet the soulmates from the 16th of February onwards, then really be careful and don't make any sudden moves and don't take part in major life events like getting married or moving in together, at least until Mercury goes direct on the 9th of March, because then you'll see things the way you usually see them. When Mercury goes retrograde this month for you, think of it as the fog descending over your feelings and the way you see other people and the world, and it becomes very difficult to make sense of things, and you can't see as clearly as you usually can. That's why I'm saying don't make any big life changes, because you may not like them. And once you can see them and the fog has gone and you see it clearly in the light of day and you're like, oh, what was I thinking? On the 17th of February, Mars, the male principle, moves into your 3rd house of communication in Capricorn. And also in your 3rd house of communication are Jupiter, Mercury, no, not Mercury, Pluto, the planet of transformation and change, and Saturn, security and structure. I'm thinking of Mercury because Mars moves into your 3rd house of communication, which is ruled by Mercury. So you're going to have a huge desire to articulate and converse and to express your views and opinions in the second half of the month. Be very careful about what it is you say in the second half of the month about relationships, about your work. So don't go on Facebook and say, oh my God, my boss is such an idiot, because your boss might see that and then fire you because you did that on Facebook. Or if you're working for some other company, I'm just trying to think of an example, and someone is giving a presentation and you put your hand up and say, you're a load of rubbish, you don't know what you're talking about. That is not going to serve you well in terms of your romantic relationships, your working life relationships, any relationships you have. Family relationships, so if you say to your daughter, oh, don't you look crap today, that will hurt her feelings. So because things are so good for you in the first 2 weeks, you have to be really careful in the last 2 weeks. On the 19th of February, the Sun, which is the main luminary in our solar system, and as above, so below, the Sun is your solar plexus in your chakra system. So now that the Sun goes into Pisces and joins Mercury retrograde and Neptune in Pisces in your 5th house, the fog is still there, but you can kind of make your way through it. I still think it's important to think before you speak and to keep an eye on who you let into your life. And I would suggest that you don't make these big life changes because of the things I've mentioned with Mercury and your clarity and your perspective changing on the 9th of March. The Sun here on the 19th is going to encourage you more to speak more, to love more, to have more relationships, more. And the problem is that those may be relationships or circumstances which really aren't suitable for you, and you miss seeing the fact that it's unsuitable because Mercury is in retrograde. So be careful. On the 23rd of February, we have a new moon, and I'll make a separate video on that as well. But the new moon pulls in loads of Pisces energy into your 5th house of romance. We've now got the midheaven there, work, Mercury retrograde, and Neptune in Pisces. So a load of Piscean energy is pulled into your chart, and you're going to want to take care of other people. Again, Mercury is retrograde. So the second half of the month really isn't good for you in terms of relationships, because you can be taken advantage of, or there are miscommunications, or you get stuck in a horrible situation that you don't want to be in, relationship. But the first 2 weeks of the month are amazing. So really make sure, if you're able, to keep that in mind, because you're being given a great opportunity, but then you're also faced with the potential to really make a pratfall of yourself and to really fall in a pit when it comes to relationships. And that's really what everything's about this month for you, Scorpio. Your work is going to be incredibly successful, but the only thing that you're really focused on and interested in is the relationship stuff and feeling more fulfilled in that area of your life. So I hope you have a wonderful February. If you would like a personal reading with me, please go to the website gregoryscott.com and order your reading with me there. I can answer any of your questions. If you like this video, then please share it online and hit the red subscribe button to subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. Share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter if you want, wherever you're active. Have a wonderful February. Mwah! Lots of kisses, and I'll speak to you soon.